What up, your Timmons here. Now, Jim Carrey obviously is a comedy legend. Of course, he has a low bow of great films. Whether you talk about The Mask, most recent Sonic the Hedgehog, The Grinch, Dumb and Dumber, list goes on. One of his funniest comedies of all time is actually Bruce Almighty. Now, the film, which got released back in 2003, was a hit, and eventually received it did eventually receive a sequel, which was Ever on Mine with Steve Carell, and that movie was not so good. Uh, but the writers behind the original film had something else entirely in mind for what the feature of the series was going to hold. In a recent interview with Sci-Fi, Steve Corrin and Mark O'Keefe revealed their ideas for Brucifer, the unmade sequel that would have seen Jim Carrey's Bruce gaining the powers of the devil rather than God. According to the pair, they pitched the sequel to producer Michael Bostick on the night of the original film's premiere, but it simply never really worked out. Here's what Corwin ended up saying. Jim Carrey's manager and him wanted to do Brucifer, and we went in and pitched it, but it never quite worked out because it was later on. It would have been another giant movie, and it doesn't, and I don't think they wanted to do it. Um, it just didn't work out for some reason, but a lot of people loved it, including Jim. Unlike the original film, Lucifer would have seen Bruce examine the darker side of Paris following the death of his girlfriend, who was cosplayed by Jennifer Aniston in the original film. According to Corin, it came from a serious place, but would have been written in a very friendly way, stating you tend to lose your faith when the world seems unfair, and that's what got him. It came from a serious place, but we were gonna write it in a very friendly way. We certainly didn't want to depress people, so I think that scared the studio a little bit. But to Jim's credit, he totally understood that we were going to make a big comedy and thought everybody would connect with it. Yeah. So yeah, that I mean, they were even essentially going to bring even Jeff Ransom back as a zombie, which okay, that would have been cool. Maybe Morgan Freeman back as God, who he will of course later go on to reprise the role in Evermind, which yeah, that some sequels without Jim Carrey does not always work out great. Whether it's Son of the Mask, Evan Almighty, Dumb and Dumber, when Harry met Lloyd. Yeah, oh boy. That aside, I would have loved to have seen this. This is what they should have done instead of Evan Almighty. This would have been awesome to see. Seeing Jim Carrey as Lucifer and all that would have been interesting. So sad it didn't happen, but hey, maybe one of these days, like who knows? Maybe some student will be like, hey, that sounds like a cool idea. Let's go ahead and revive this thing. I mean, hey, sequel to long way films have is that pretty much the new norm. We just had Top Gun Maverick, Hocus Pocus 2, a Chanted sequel, a Disenchanted. Although comic sequels sometimes don't really aren't all the hits, like Zoolander, 2, Dumb and Dumber 2. I mean, I like Dumb and Dumber 2, but it didn't really go well with Tremaine folks. But you never know. Of course, there's already talked about possible Dodgeball sequel. That is interesting. So we'll see if this thing will actually ever happen, but I would love to see this thing, man. Hey, with Lucifer being a hit, how cool would that be? Maybe see Tom Ellis coming in this as well. That would be cool. So, yeah, this will be interesting. Anyway, let me let you guys. What do you thoughts on the Bruce Almighty Rise wanting to do a devil centric sequel to Bruce Almighty? Would you love to have seen this Brucifer film? Were you even a fan of the first Bruce Almighty? And would you love to see this actually happen in the future? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notification. This is Simon signing out.